Well, hello. So you've been watching Prater and Son. You're thinking about getting into dirt oval go-kart racing. Maybe you're thinking about it. Maybe you're thinking about getting your kids into it. Maybe you're thinking about getting your wife into it. I thought I'd take a little time today to do a little bit of a vlog and talk about the different types of things that you need to think about when getting into the sport, how to do it on the best possible budget you can. So stay tuned. Hello, I'm Michael, and you're tuned into Prater and Son. As you heard from before, we're talking about getting into dirt oval kart racing. So one of the very first things that I want to tell you to do, this is extremely important, is if you've got local tracks near you, go to those local tracks. Get you a pit pass, go in and talk to the people that are racing. This is where you're going to get the most information. You can't be afraid to approach someone. Just go up to them and say, hey, I'm thinking about getting into the sport and I know absolutely nothing. What kind of tips can you give me? So you want to take a look around the pits for also carts that are for sale. So a lot of the times people will have their stuff for sale, and it's kind of nice because in most cases you can see how that cart performs out on the track. It's not always in budget, but if it is in budget, full buyouts are always a great way to go because it gets you everything that you need to just go racing right off the bat. Let's talk about chassis. Not all of us can afford to go out and buy a complete buyout right off the bat, so we got to do it in steps. Well, obviously you have to have a chassis, the go-kart itself, to get started. There's lots of great used frames out there that are very user-friendly, have parts available to them, a large amount of information available on the internet to you. Some of them that are touted as having the best luck are Phantom carts. Phantom Triton, the Triton Junior, the Nemesis, the Phenom, the Recon, and the Icon. Those are all fairly user-friendly carts. There is a ton of information out there, and the parts are readily available from Phantom. Another brand that I see a lot as far as used in the winner circle is Ultramax. Um, I polled some of my followers on Facebook and got a lot of great information because I don't have a ton of familiarity with Ultramax chassis, but the models that they recommended were the Bad Max, the Phase X, the Octane Blaze, and the Rival. And I've seen all those chassis in Victory Lane. You may be able to pick them up for a heck of a deal. Some of the other brands that were suggested, I'm just going to read off the list here up above me. The Platinum TG2, a Kinetic Genesis, the Legend Extreme 3, and also the Legend Matrix, an Avenger Bandit. All those have a lot of information, parts readily available for them. Some other brands that you might see out there that are fantastic, but you may be getting kind of up in price, but if your budget allows for it, Chargers, Tricks, Premiers, and Millenniums. They all make great cards. Now, there is some other options too. Some of these tracks run vintage classes, and if you want to get into the vintage class, it is a very, very affordable way to do it. Some of the times you can pick up chassis for $500-$600. These are non-adjustable, meaning they don't have a caster and camber adjustment on the front end. They just have the C-shaped spindles that move up and down. That's the only adjustment on the front end. While these can be much cheaper than adjustable chassis, you do have to keep in mind sometimes it may be difficult to find parts for them. Still a great option, and by going to your local track and asking around, you may find the right cart for you. Now, as far as the class you want to run, when you go to visit the track, you need to know what classes they run because that's going to heavily affect your decision on your motor package. There are 3 motor packages that I would consider budget for the most part. Predator, which that comes with its own headaches. It is a class that, as far as the rules go, they change a lot from track to track. However, you can go to Harbor Freight and buy the motor for $150, watch some YouTube videos on things that you can do to it based off the rule set that your track runs. It's a very cheap way to get in. Down south, some places up north, they run Dukars, which is a package put together by dyno cams. It's also a really good budget class. It's a little bit more than the Predator class, but the rules are more consistent in that class. And then the last one will be Clone. Some people may not consider Clone a budget class. However, you sometimes can find used motors for $500 or $600 to get you started. One nice thing is that a lot of builders will do rebuilds, and that just motors they got in trade-in or whatever, and they'll sell them at a discounted rate, and then you have a freshly rebuilt motor. So make sure that you ask around at the track, what are the popular classes that are run? We personally run Predators a lot, but we also have Clones. They're both great. And to wrap up, the final thing I want you to think about is there's additional costs. Some people just think, hey, I'm going to go out and buy a chassis and a motor and go racing. That's not the case. A couple of things to think about. You're going to need a clutch. You're going to need to understand the class you're running, because you may need a drum clutch, or you may need a disc style clutch, or you could use either or in some cases. But there is a cost there, so I want to make sure that you understand that. Tires and rims. Tires win races. So you can start out with a set of tires. If you run a Saturday night show, sometimes one set of tires is just fine. But as you grow in the sport, you're typically going to need more tires and rims to be competitive. Weight. This is one a lot of people don't think about. Lead. You're going to have to make a minimum weight requirement. Sometimes people are on the heavy side and it isn't a big deal, but a lot of the times when you're talking about getting your kids into the sport, you're going to have to add lead to their cart to make sure that they meet the minimum weight requirements. A seat. The cart you buy isn't always going to have the correct size seat, so you may have to purchase one that fits. If you buy one with the right size seat, good for you, you got lucky. But keep in mind, that could be a cost. A body. A body isn't necessary in every single class, but in most cases, it's a good idea. It protects your legs and your arms when you're racing, so you want to keep in mind that's something that may not come on the cart that you might need. Graphics. Graphics aren't necessary. Depends on how good you want to look while you're out there. I like to look good while I'm out there, but at the bare minimum, you're going to have numbers on the carts. Keep that in mind. That cost could be a small cost, could be an expensive cost. It's up to you how much you want to spend on that. A go-kart stand. You got to have something to put the cart on. Typically, you want a rolling stand because it makes it a lot easier to wheel the cart up to the hot chute. It makes it a lot easier to load it in and out of the trailer and things like that. So you're going to need a go-kart stand. You can't work on it while it's on the ground. I mean, you could, but it's going to be a pain in the butt. Tools. Some of these tools are specific to what you need in go-kart racing, and I can't give you a definitive list as you go. You just find out tools that you're going to need. But it seems like it's a constant incurring cost that takes place. So just keep that in mind. Fuel and transportation. Our most expensive cost in karting, hands down, because we don't spend a ton of money on anything else, is fuel just to get to the races and back. Also keep in mind, you can haul a go-kart in the back of the truck, but you're subjecting it to possible weather. So eventually you may want to get a trailer to pull it in, and obviously there's a cost there. And then the last one that I want to mention is probably the most important one, is safety equipment. You're going to need a suit or a jacket. You're going to need a helmet, a neck brace, and gloves. Now, some places don't require you to use all this, but I do want to say, how much is your head worth? How much are your body parts worth? Don't skimp on safety equipment. Spend the money, get good safety equipment, and in the unfortunate circumstance that you are in a wreck, you'll have the best possible protection on you, especially a helmet. Spend the money on a helmet. Okay, that's all I got. Pretty simple, short video. I'd like this one to be interactive. I might do a follow-up video, so please, down in the comments, any questions you got, ask them. If I don't know how to answer them, I'll reach out to someone and get you an answer. If you have comments on additional tips for people that are new to getting into dirt oval kart racing, please put those down below too. The more people we can get into the sport, the more we grow the sport. It is a fun sport. If you get your kids into it, I'm telling you right now, it's way funner, more exciting than any ball sport there is out there. Best part about it is this sport, we don't just have one ball. It takes two balls to be in this sport, I guess, unless you're a lady. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to the video, leave us some comments down below. We'll see you on the next one.